Hi stamping friends, Melissa Kerman here with Melissa's Crafting Treehouse. Today's project was created for the March Color Fusers Blog Hop and Color Challenge. And the project features the All Adorned Stamp Set, the Stamparatus, and it's also a fun fold card. And if you're not aware, I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I sell all the products that I share in my videos. The All Adorned Stamp Set is a celebration set, so it's available free with a qualifying $50 purchase during celebration. It's designed to use with the Stamparatus, and we're starting with using that corner image to create a frame. So I've got my Stamparatus set up, and I'm just inking it up with some smoky slate ink, and I'm going to do each one of those corners. And instead of moving the plate, I'm going to actually move the piece of cardstock. I've got it positioned so it's in a corner right there on the grid paper. So you will need grid paper, or you'll need to create a guide for yourself if you don't have grid paper. So one at a time, I'm just inking it up, turning the paper, and then stamping it to create my frame. For this particular thing, the magnet is essential because you don't want the paper to move, and you want to make sure that the paper is exactly in the same spot each time you do it. So I'm showing you another focal piece that I did. The gray piece is a 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 piece, and the pink one right there is actually 4 by 4. I've also done it at 3 5/8 by 3 5/8, which is the focal piece I'm showing you now. So I chose the 3 1/4 square because I wanted the center opening piece to be smaller, just so that it would frame the element that I'm putting in the center a little bit better. So the center element is created with two different images, two different stamps, one superimposed on the other. So I'm starting with the first one, stamped in smoky slate ink. And now I'm going to do a technique where I'm going to make the image in the center actually colored. So I've inked up that stamp with Versamark, and now I'm inking it with the gorgeous scrape ink, and then I'm superimposing it directly over the smoky slate image that I put on there first, and putting it under some clear embossing powder, and I like to do that really quickly. By putting on the Versamark first as a first step, and then the gorgeous scrape second, it allows the gorgeous grape to stay wet just a little bit longer, long enough so that it can be sticky, and the powder, the embossing powder, the clear embossing powder will actually stick to it. So you can see I've got the powder on there now, but it's not yet heat embossed. And next I'm going to heat emboss it. This is a great trick for being able to heat emboss in any color, essentially, as long as you use the Versamark first and then just ink directly over it with the color that you want. As long as you put it into the clear embossing powder quickly, you'll be able to get an embossed image. So I experimented with different size focal pieces. So I have a piece that's 3 5/8 by 3 5/8 right there, the one with the pink edges, and I also reversed how I stamped the images. So I stamped the second image in basic gray, actually, and then the other image was heat embossed with the fresh fig. So next I'm going to work on the card body pieces, and this is sort of a fun fold card. It kind of comes together in a slightly different way. So I have punched out 2 holes at the top of my flap. So the basic gray piece measures 4 1/4 by 6 3/8, and then it's scored at 1 1/8 inches. And along that flap, I put a pencil mark right in the center at 2 1/8 inches from side to side, and then that was served as a guide so I could punch my holes exactly where I wanted them. So now I'm using my tear and tape because I want an especially strong adhesive here, since this is going to be under some tension since it's a separate flap. And placed my one piece at the top of the Highland Heather cardstock, and then the second one I'll place at the top of the basic gray flap. Now I'm going to get my Highland Heather piece exactly where I want it, and I'm drawing some pencil marks because I need to punch holes in that piece as well, so it lines up perfectly where it needs to be with the gray flap. So now I'm going to begin with the process of assembling this card just by attaching the focal piece to its gorgeous grape backing. And then I'll be showing you how to attach the Highland Heather piece to the card body with the ribbon. It's sort of a weave, if you will. So I'm starting by removing the tear and tape from the top of the Highland Heather, getting it positioned so that it has edges on the left and right and the bottom. Now, if you want this card to stand up straight, you'll actually need to make that Highland Heather piece so that it touches, so that it's even with the back of the card. Instead of having an edge at the bottom, it would go all the way down to the bottom. And that requires that you line it up differently when you create the holes. So I'm taking my ribbon and cutting it so that I have a bit of a point, because I'm going to need to weave it through the holes. And I've got it flat on the front of the card, and now I'm going to put it into the hole on the right side. You see, I'm correcting myself. I had one on the left, and pulling it through the other side. And then I'm going to take the left side, put it through the left hole. This is probably the hardest part of this whole thing, because you've got to be able to get that tiny little bit of ribbon through the little hole and then pull it out the other side. You can see I'm grabbing my paper piercing tool to help me push it through so there's enough to grab on the other end. And then once it's through the holes, it gets pretty much easier from there. And I'm just going to take the two sides of the end pieces, you can see, put one on either side of the ribbon on the front, and then I'm just going to tie a knot. And then I'll get that little knot and the tails in the position that I want. I like to put my thumb right down there on the knot itself so I can pull the tails. And then I'll just trim off the edges, adjust the position just a little bit, and then I've got my card body all set. Now I use dimensionals on the back side of my focal piece and just simply attached it to the front of the card body, and I'm all done. Now I did put an inside piece inside this card, and I just measured it at 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, so it would be smaller than the Highland Heather layer and wouldn't show. So I'm going ahead and putting that on the inside now, and here's my finished card. So I hope you've enjoyed this project and the color challenge for March. The Color Fusers design team goes live once a month, the first Monday of each month at 10 a.m. So come back and visit us again soon. And make sure to check out all the other projects of the design team members by joining us in the blog hop. You'll find a link to my blog and lots of other resources and links in the video description below. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for spending some time with me today, and happy crafting!